Welcome to Ignite to Impact, a weekly podcast that explores what it takes to make your community, our nation, and the world a better place. You've tuned in to be inspired and enlightened as we pull back the curtain and dive into intimate and energetic conversations with achievers and doers. We are talking with leaders who are in the trenches making phenomenal changes through business, nonprofits, education, and the arts. Our goal? To encourage, motivate, and challenge you to go to the next level in leadership. Now, here's your host, Master Leadership Strategist, Dr. Geneva Williams. So, let's ignite to impact.
Hey there, this is Dr. Geneva. I am so thrilled, just excited, ecstatic that you're joining us again today, that you're listening. I just have some wonderful news and conversation for you today. First, want to start off by saying to you just happy New Year and happy 2018, and it's going to be phenomenal. I want you to know I just got back from LA, Los Angeles in California, and it was great. The weather was good, a little chilly, but the weather was fabulous. And you got to say that just coming from Detroit. So the weather was nice. And I was out there for the launch of one of my books, and it's called LinkedIn for Business Consultants. And it's a collection of coaches, experts, and trainers. And I'll talk more about that later. But here's what I wanted to tell you. While I was out there, I had just joined a fabulous new group for me, the Michigan Association of Female Entrepreneurs. And so a shout out to Tanya and all the fabulous work that she does. But in her welcoming packet, she sent a lot of information. But then I pulled out this incredible magazine, and it said, the name of the magazine is Entrepreneur and Executive. Now, see, that just hit my sweet spot because you all know that I just love talking to leaders who are entrepreneurs and executives. And I pulled it out, and on the cover was this incredible looking millennial who the title said, Elizabeth Mays, Branding a New Breed of CEO. That was just so phenomenal. So I rushed back to Detroit, and guess what? I have her in studio now. I am so excited. So let me tell you, she's the CEO of MCS Multimedia, which was formed recently in 2011, but she inherited also Mays Printing, which in Detroit is a legendary business that we all know about, and she's a third generation printer, entrepreneur, and visionary, and she works very closely with entrepreneurs and executives by using branding and printing and graphics and so many great marketing tactics, and she uses this to overcome roadblocks so that entrepreneurs and executives can increase their provability, and I probably think their profitability as well. But she is president and co-founder of this magazine that I told you about, and so I have her in studio, and we're going to have a fabulous conversation. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, thank you.
Oh, now do folk call you Elizabeth, or do you have a nickname? Or
well, it's so funny because it's like a 50-50 split. Most people call me Elizabeth, and everybody else calls me Miss Mays.
Oh, Miss
Mays.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, get it on. I love it.
Yeah, so they call me Miss Mays all the time.
Oh, that's great. So you have to start off by just telling us about you. Tell us about Elizabeth, and what was it like growing up?
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. Well, my mother and my father were married, probably, I think it was about almost close to 30 years before my mom had passed away. So my mom passed away when I was in my senior year of college, going into my senior year of college. So I kind of, took the reins of life a little faster than what normal people would, because I kind of knew that I now didn't have a mother in my life. So I kind of had to take everything that she taught me and go straight forward and continue my life with what she had instilled in me. So I'm a graduate of Western Michigan University. Okay. First, let me tell you, I'm born and raised in Detroit. In case you were wondering, I'm born and raised in Detroit. I went to Samuel C. Mumford High School. So I'm a Mumford graduate.
Okay.
And then I transitioned into college, my apology, at Western Michigan University. I studied film, video, and media.
Okay.
Yes, and then I minored in graphic and printing sciences. While I was in college, actually, when I first started, my studies was medicine. I wanted to be a pediatrician my entire life. Yes, I always wanted to be a pediatrician.
So you got to tell us the story about why you shifted.
I know, right? It's crazy. So I was studying medicine, and in my freshman year, towards the end of it, I was like, ooh, okay, these classes are a little bit harder than I thought, right? And of course, just like any young adult, especially when you're getting into college, you don't really know much. You just know that you're just, in a new environment, and they expect you to, think a little faster and, get your education on so that you can ascend into your career eventually. So I was like, I don't know if this is really for me. Okay. So I sat down and I had a conversation with myself, actually just with myself. And I said, Elizabeth, what else is it that you would want to do or go into that kind of sparks interest? And I said film, because I always grew up loving to watch films. I really always admired entertainment and spokespersons and just the aura of entertainment. And I was like, okay, I'm going to change my degree. I'm going to study film, video, and media. And in the midst of my studies, I think it was my sophomore year going into my junior year, my father was like, Elizabeth, you need to get some kind of minor in your family business. And I'm like, I'm like, why? I'm like, you're running the business pretty well. Right. And my brother, who was, next in line, was, working along with him too. But my father knew something that I didn't. And as an obedient child, because I grew up listening to my parents, because of course they have been where I've been, I was like, okay. So I went to the College of Engineering and said, hey, I think I want to pick up a minor in graphic and printing sciences. So they said, okay. I applied and I got accepted. So I got my degree.
So what was it that, now you said your father knew something that you didn't. What was that?
Okay. So upon me graduating from college, my father had informed me that they were closing the main operation on Livernois.
Oh, I see. Okay.
They were closing it on Livernois. Okay. And I knew in some capacity that with my minor, I would be doing something in the family business. I just didn't know what. Because if my father told me to get it, it wasn't just because, just have that as a backup.
I see.
Or, hey, I want you to actually think about going in the family business. It was more of, I think he knew where the company was going. And he believed that I had something in me. Because you're not going to tell someone to get a degree in something if you don't think they have the talent and the passion for it, or even, the will to do it. So long story short, when I was graduating, my father had told me that they were closing Mays, and I was like, whoa.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And I had moved back home to Detroit to take care of my younger sisters because they were still young. They only had my father there, and they needed some kind of woman, influence of a woman in the household. So I moved back, and I told my father, all right, so I'm here. What we're gonna do? And he's like, I don't want the family business to end here. He's like, I want you to take it over, and your brother to take it over. And I said, okay.
Oh, wow.
Said,
and to continue that
and
tradition.
To continue that tradition.
Now, I must admit, I'm a little surprised because didn't you kind of grow up in the business?
I did.
Okay.
Absolutely. I grew up, as a young kid in the back of the plant, folding papers and touching paper and smelling it and running around and talking to the pressmen. So I knew the whole operation, and to an extent, it's just that we go through certain moments in our life where we're a little unsure, but we in the back of our heads, our destiny is sure. Our destiny is sure. And I'm kind of glad that I did do that, because when I got my degree in film and I got my minor in printing and graphics, I feel like I already had enough of the soul in me of printing and graphics, where getting my education in the film, video, and media industry has really helped me substantially to grow the company into a multimedia firm. I couldn't use the word multimedia if I didn't have any background in anything else other than graphics and printing. And it definitely has been a journey, even from storytelling to, transcripts to manuscripts to, how to envision something before it comes to life. And having that degree in film and cinematography truly helped me to think outside of the box. Yeah.
I love it. So starting off with that's just such a wonderful and inspiring story, because I think so many young people feel that you have to have everything kind of carved out, what you're going to do and how is it going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I know when I was growing up, that used to always be the question, well, what are you going to be when you grow up? And you're just trying to figure out who you are.
Oh, absolutely.
And oftentimes you don't have all those pieces together. So that, as you said, I like how you put it, it was kind of in the back of your head that it might be there, but because you were able to expand your learning, your experience, then when you did come back to the printing business, you were able to expand and see that horizon. So there's a good lesson in that.
It is.
What do you think that lesson is, Elizabeth?
And just to kind of drift over just a little bit, the story that I'm going to kind of tell you, I don't talk about very much. And to be honest, throughout my career as the CEO of MCS Multimedia, which is, I'm embarking on 7 years now. Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
This is where all the gray hair came from. 7 years. Prior to, like I had mentioned, my mom had passed away when I was in my going into my senior year of college. And prior to her passing, my mom had been sick for years. When I was in my freshman year of high school, my mom had lost her sight. She lost her sight, and we didn't know why she lost her sight. And we just knew that, she sat us down and she said, okay, I can't see. And we're like, what do you mean? She woke up one morning, could not see. And of course, leading to those days, my mom would have to take off work, because she was an educator at DPS. So she was taking off work and saying, I can't go in today. And it was so weird, because my mom was a phenomenal woman. She was a hard worker, the average black woman, which is the one that doesn't stop and won't stop. And when she kept taking off work, we're like, okay, something's not right. And then literally one morning, she woke up and she said, I cannot see anymore. And we were like, whoa. So she started to say, okay, I got to go to the doctor and really, really figure out what's going on. Long story short, she came back and told us that she was diagnosed with MS, multiple sclerosis. And my sister was going into her freshman year of college. My brother was already in college. My younger sisters were just wee little girls, and I was a ninth grade student. And you know what that meant? I had to take over. I had to do everything that my mom's eyes couldn't do, which meant I was driving her. I had to learn how to drive at a very, very young age. I was writing checks. I was grocery shopping. I was cooking. I was helping my sisters with their homework. I was, also being there for my father, in certain ways where my mom couldn't. And I grew up fast. I grew up very, very fast because I had to now do some parental things in the home. And I didn't know that was preparing me also to be where I am. It's beautiful, because there's like maybe about 5 good nuggets, maybe 6 good nuggets that have formed Elizabeth into the leader and the businesswoman that she is today. And that story is number one. Growing up young and having to see my mom, go day by day without any sight. And then her illness started to get worse. And then she couldn't get up out of bed, and she was fatigued and she was tired. So throughout my entire 4 years of high school, I was seeing about my mother all the way up until when I was in college. And then her MS had gotten so bad where, she her health started to decline so substantially where she ended up passing away from complications of multiple sclerosis. But that key element, I was on it. I was driving back and forth to Canada. I was in business meetings, helping my mom be the eyes because she couldn't see. But just to give you a snippet, I grew up early and I grew up fast. And that played a very, very, very big role into the maturity of who I am today. And I spent a lot of close time with her too. A lot of close time with her.
And as you think back on those times, you probably think about those times probably every day.
I do almost. I do. I think about it very, very often.
Yes.
I do.
And as you say, it's inside you. That spark. That's something that's igniting you and having you do what you do today.
Oh yeah, and of course, growing up with phenomenal parents, literally phenomenal parents. My mom had a PhD. My graduate from LaSalle University. My father, Western Michigan graduate and entrepreneur and businessman for over 25 years. And then I come into the family business. And the funny thing is that some people, told me like, "Wow, you're taking over your family business. It must be easy." Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because just like when I mentioned in my story, when I took over the family business, they were closing Mays.
So tell us about that. I want to hear about that. And let me just say, if you're just joining us, I'm having a delightful conversation with Elizabeth Mays, who's the CEO of MCS Multimedia. She also is a co-founder of Entrepreneur and Executive Magazine. She's featured on the cover. We're having some great talk about Elizabeth growing up, being right in the middle of her family business. I think I read one things where you said you had ink on your hands. So you grew up having ink on your hands.
Yes.
So clearly that was something that was always with us. And then we've talked about her and her relationship with her mom and what she became as a result of doing things with and for her mom. So it's a great conversation. So Elizabeth, tell me about the business.
Tell you about the business.
Yeah, so 7 years.
Yeah, 7 years.
Now, I mean, you had to have started when you were in high school, right?
I know, right?
While you were going through all these traumatic times and growing and learning all these experiences, that's when you started the business, right?
Right. No, you would think so, right?
Yes.
But luckily, I did graduate with a degree, so I got some paper and also some knowledge to back me. But right when I graduated, my father was telling me that they were closing Mays, and he didn't want it to end there. So he was like, "I want you and your brother to start another company, but I don't want it to lose anything, any authenticity of what it is that we have, kept and carried on for the past, at that time, I think it was about 65, 66 years. Yes. So I said, okay. So my brother and I took over the family business. We opened up a location in Ferndale and named it MCS Multimedia. And for those that ask and those that don't know, MCS stand for Mays Commercial Services.
Okay.
And just like any business, you have growing pains where you're like still trying to figure stuff out. And my brother, unfortunately, did not stay with me in business very long. I don't think everything is for everyone. So he decided to transition, and I was totally okay with that. So I was the main business person in the company, meaning like executive that was actually leading the business in the direction. And I had staff and I had employees, but they can only contribute so much. And it was really up to me. And luckily, I still had my father, James Mays, who was my mentor throughout the entire process, saying, hey, don't do that, because I did that before. You don't want to step on that, okay? So he let me. And for the first 3 years, we were in Ferndale, and we were rocking it out. And
so what did those first 3 years look like? So we're talking about, again, this is a generation, your third generation, because your grandfather,
my grandfather started
the company
in 1946.
Okay,
yes,
and so you come from a tradition of entrepreneurs.
I do.
Then you started your own thing. So tell us tell me about one of your biggest challenges during those first 3 years.
My biggest challenges. I had so many.
Okay.
But it's a good thing because it really
why is it
built
good thing?
me. It's a good thing because if you don't have trials and tribulations, you really don't really understand how to embrace the beauty of success. So I had a lot of rough moments and patches throughout the business. More of trying to continue and keep the traction of what was already out there.
Okay.
Because when we transitioned, we changed the name. And it wasn't to, get people off their rockers. It was just more of like to kind of bring out a reinvention, because when you thought Mays printing, it was only printing. And that was one of the sore spots that Mays had to endure, was the fact that after the recession, the printing industry started to go down. Down some. And of course, it kind of affected affected a lot of the productivity there at the office. So I had to not sell myself, but I had to say, hey, I'm Elizabeth Mays. And I had like a small little battle with myself because, yes, I'm very passionate and very proud of who I am as the granddaughter of Caulton Mays, but I didn't want to have to feel like I had to ride on that coattail, you know? Okay. So there would be a lot of times I had to just build relationships as just Elizabeth Mays. And it, you know, and luckily I had a great personality and a lot of charisma, and I was extremely passionate about what I was doing every day when I woke up, that I was able to bridge a lot of great relationships. And then my father would tell me sometimes when he would see me struggling through it, he'd say, Elizabeth, don't forget where you came from. This is why you're here. Okay. This is why you are in this business. It's because your grandfather and I have kept it going for so long. So work with what you have. So I said, okay, let me stop trying to fight being an individual and also being a legacy. Okay. You know, and some people might have that struggle.
So you found a way to bring those two together?
I did.
Bridge that?
I did. And I'm so glad that I was patient with myself.
And how did you know, that's very interesting. My daughter, my oldest daughter, is in a similar situation. My husband had an insurance business for 20, 30 years, built it, fabulous organization and business, and very, very successful. And now she has it. Oh, wow. And so Fantastic. He passed, and then she now is running. She's doing it. She's doing her thing. And I see her and hear her talk about this same thing that you just described, the being in a family business, having that tradition, yet not only having to be your own thing and do your own thing, but because you re-engineered the current business. So how did you do that? What were some of the tips, the tricks?
The tips and the tricks was really understanding where I came from. So I was very, very confident and solid on my foundation. So I knew that printing was something that I can do, and I can do very well. And I still had some staff members from Mays that had transitioned with me to MCS. So I had that foundation. And then I kept saying to myself, okay, what else is it that we're going to provide people and our clients that they are going to have to eventually go somewhere else for, because we don't offer it. So I was like, let's get into graphics. We need to get heavy into graphics. And the best way to get heavy into graphics is to be able to start where a business is, which is a startup, which is logo development, websites, branding, marketing material. And as that started to grow and people started to really see the talent that we had underneath that roof, more and more business started to come in. More and more people started to refer us. So then as we were offering graphics and printing and marketing, we also said that if we're sitting down with our clients for an hour plus, that's considered consulting. So then we started, so we started adding on our sectors. And I think in business, you have to understand truly what your value is that you're giving to people in order to make sure you're putting the right dollar sign behind it. Because it's so easy to give people more, and they're like, ooh, at the end of the day, they're like, that's a steal. And I had to make sure that we kept our doors open and we kept the business going. So as we started to add those services on, I was like, okay, stop, we're good. Graphic design, printing, marketing, and consulting. And those are our 4 foundations that we have been on since the first year of being in business, when I really started to get a grip and a grasp on what I was going to be doing and what people can know me for. People can know me for. So, and the beautiful thing too is that we were there for 3 years, and then we outgrew that location, and then we moved. I know, it felt so good. Yes. I felt like, oh my God, it was just amazing. And we outgrew that location after 3 years, and then we moved to Southfield, and then we've been in Southfield now for 3.5 years, going on 4 years. Yes, we have a wonderful corporate office, and then in the back we have our print facility. We have staff and professionals in every area and arena in regards to the 4 sectors of what we do at the business. And you know, it definitely has been a journey. It really has been a journey. But I'm so glad that I went down this road, and I did not fight myself, and I did not keep people around me who were Debbie Downers too, because it's easy to have people around you that are Debbie Downers.
Okay.
So when you're sad and you're down and you're out and you're like, business is not going good this month, or whatever the case might be, and they're like, I'm so sorry. No, I kept people around me that was like, all right, Lisa, what are you going to do next?
Yes.
They were constantly encouraging me. So it's really important to keep people around you that are going to believe in what you believe in. Not saying they're going to, endure everything that you endure, but they're going to say, okay, but what's next? Or they're going to say, okay, but like they're going to keep pushing you. And I kept that, which was family and friends. And I didn't grow up, I didn't go through the business with a lot of young millennials that were in the same position as me, because there weren't many.
Okay. Yes.
There weren't many. And even to this day, with a brick and mortar and a business that's actually running a professional company, I could probably count on two hands that are in the same field or arena that are doing what I was doing and am doing. So I didn't really have a lot of equal mentorship or even support. I had to seek from my father's friends and business partners and other women and men in the industry that was much older than me that could mentor me and help keep me on the right path. So to be honest, majority of my friends and mentors are older than me, because I can learn so much more. And if anything, they take me underneath their wings and they say, if you are willing to listen, if you're willing to learn, I'm willing to teach.
Oh, I love it. I love it. If you're just joining us, and I hope you're not just joining us, because this has been just a really delightful conversation, but you can hear the whole conversation if you go to iTunes and find Ignite to Impact. And so go there, listen, subscribe, and leave a review. And I know the review on this conversation is going to be phenomenal. So Elizabeth, so you know, as you were talking, there were just so many nuggets of leadership lessons that you were dropping. Yes. I mean, they was just dropping all over the place. Thank Everything you. From who you surround yourself with is so important. Learning to, always have a constant vision in front of you and always looking for how to re-engineer. Yes. So there was lots of stuff, but I want to focus back in on this relationship that you as a millennial have developed with older folk. Okay. And maybe not that much older, maybe the Gen X, the generation just right before you, as well as some baby boomers. Right. But particularly, let's look at the Gen X, those ones who are, in their 50s or so, who've been helping you, etc.
Oh, man.
So that's right. They're there.
They're there. They're so present. And it comes down from my mom's friends to my dad's friends to amazing people that I've met in business that are just gravitated to me and I'm gravitated to them. I'm the kind of person, I believe in being taught or educated before having to endure an error or an issue. Okay. So when I grew up, my parents told me the stove is hot, don't touch it. Okay. Because if you told me it's hot and it might burn me, I'm not going to touch it. So I've gone through life being a good listener and being very passionate about where I'm going in life. And if I surround the right people that have been there or who can teach me, then I know I'm going in the right direction. And I have a very strong spirit of discernment. So whenever I feel like something ain't right or someone ain't right, I remove myself and I do it almost immediately. So I've had that moral support around me from people in so many different industries and areas. Like I said, majority of them are much older than me, and I like it that way. Okay. And I have a very old soul too. Like I said, I grew up with my mom, around my mom for so long, that I like the sense of having someone around me that can really teach me something. And then sometimes I'm actually teaching them too. They tell me, they're
both ways.
It's vice versa, right?
And so you've developed this really deep appreciation for what you can learn from experience.
Oh,
that's I guess what I'm hearing. Yes. Let me say, because I'd so much like to get your perspective on this. What do you think are some of the key leadership skills that your generation it needs in order to move forward, to succeed, like the generations before you?
Absolutely.
What's important moving forward?
Okay. One thing I mentioned inside of my meetings with my staff, because we have a staff meeting every Friday, and it's to do a recap of the week and also to make plans for the following. One thing I tell them is that the way you do something in your personal life is the way you're going to do things in your professional life.
Okay.
And then some of them are young. They're about 22 or 23. And they're like, so what does that mean, Miss Mays? And I'm like, what that means is that the way you wake up in the morning to get prepared for your personal life is the same that you're going to do when you come here into the office. I said the same way that you are going to organize your space is the same way. The same way you are going to greet people is the same way. People know authenticity. They know genuine. I'm like, I need you to work on your personal self and come correct. So when you are here in this office or you are doing anything that involves the business or professional realm, that you are doing it as much to a T as possible. And that's literally one of my mantras that I live by, which is trying to work on myself as much as possible so I can be the best executive and CEO out here. And then one other thing that I do believe in, that I write on that's actually in front of my computer at my office, and it says, your best is not what you have, is what you do.
Okay, so say a little more. What does that mean to you?
Your best is not what you have, is what you do. You could be a millionaire and you can have millions of dollars. You have it, right? But what do you do with it? Are you giving? Are you sharing? Are you educating? Are you mentoring? Whatever the case might be. And I know that I have gems and jewels inside of me to give to younger millennials and those that are seeking to go into business. So I said to myself, if I've learned all of this from all of these amazing people, it's now time for me to part it back into someone else. So every day I'm at the office and I'm consulting, or I'm mentoring, or I'm educating, or I'm just, collaborating. My best is not what I have on paper. It's what I do in the community. It's what I do in my office. It's what I do at home. It's what I do in my church. My best is what I do.
I love it, because you just put so much out there. Everything from how important for future leadership, for today's leadership and future leadership, it is in terms of personal development.
Personal development is key.
Show up as you are, that authenticity you talked about. I love the, best is not what you have. It really is what you do every day, how you're seen, the difference you're making in the community. Again, another great leadership nugget.
Thank
then the conversation, Elizabeth, about legacy and what your role, because I think one of the most important roles of leaders is the role they have as role models.
Oh yeah.
Setting an example.
Absolutely.
And so I'm hearing you say that that's part of what you see is needed more and more in terms of moving forward with leadership, but also what you do.
Oh yeah.
That's what you do.
It's what I do. When I come into my office and I see all 9 awards that are showcased on my wall and my table, and people always say, wow, how did you get these? And I'm like, sometimes, back then I'm like, I don't really know. I think it's just because people see potential in me. And now I'm like, it's because I see potential and I live my potential. So you seeing it and living it. I'm seeing it, I'm living it.
I just love it. So will you promise that you'll come back and we can have even more conversation?
I would love to go in more depth any ways you want.
I love it. And we wish absolutely, I don't even know if it's necessary to wish you best luck and success, because you is doing it. all I want to say is we want to be on the ride with you.
Oh, vice versa.
Applauding.
Thank you.
Giving you support and just being so proud. And so I'm just so delighted that Elizabeth Mays, who's the CEO of MCS Multimedia Company, the co-founder of Entrepreneur and Executive Magazine. Yes, she's all that, but she's so much more. She, in fact, is that new breed of CEOs, and we're just so delighted, Elizabeth, that you were here. And come back and see me again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Ignite to Impact. Your host is Dr. Geneva Williams, an award-winning executive, facilitator, and master leadership strategist. Dr. Geneva is dedicated to inspiring others to get their leadership on. and equipping the next generation with leadership tools and tips to help make the world a better place. Sign up to download Dr. Geneva's mini ebook on leadership. Get the show notes, links, and other resources at drgenevaspeaks.com. That's drgenevaspeaks.com. Thanks for listening. Please share the podcast to those in your community via Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Google+, and leave us a 5-star review in iTunes. When you do that, it helps others find the podcast easier. Send your questions or comments to info@drgenevaspeaks.com.